Hello, people of YouTube. My name is Steve Gray. Thank you for watching. Today we're talking about Rick and Morty, Season 7, Episode 4. Mixed the season and the episode up. And interesting episode. I actually fell asleep watching it last night, not because the episode was boring, but because I was tired and daylight savings time is just screwing me up something fierce. But we start off with the following episodes contain strong conversations and depictions of suicide that may be disturbing to some viewers. So that was definitely interesting right off the bat. So we start off with the promo. Everybody's pounded down spaghetti. It's delicious, yummy. And then we immediately find out that it's from dead people. So, yeah. Find out it's from dead people. So, Morty wants to see where it comes from, wonders why, what the deal is, and apparently the deal is that on this particular planet, when people commit suicide, it rearranges the starches in their intestines and blood and makes them into spaghetti. So, they die of natural causes, nothing changes. They kill themselves, the body like seizes up or something, and spaghetti. So kind of weird and messed up, but it's like, all right, let's go along with it. Let's go along with it and see what's going on here. So Rick does the Men in Black thing, messes himself up. He hits himself with it as opposed to the mortician. Not a big deal. End up going to the guy's funeral that they were eating. Morty's like, yeah, people are spaghetti. He explains it to the family, and this is kind of like a giant guilt trip type deal for Rick. Morty looking at some stuff, and then the people, the Madam President of the planet is like, well, what if we do this ethically? And the reason she wants to do it ethically is because what do you do with a dead body? You bury it, it's gone, you're done, you cremate it, whatever. However, this makes people money. So, of course, we're going to be in the unethical or question of the day, which is, should you rob a body of everything after it's dead? Because it's dead and it doesn't matter if the person agrees to it before they die. And they get people to agree with it. They change their entire society to make everything super depressing, so that way all these people are killing themselves, so that way they can get spaghetti for people. It's kind of really messed up. And they record the woman. Morty just ends up eating it, comes back, and then they have Mortios. Apparently the entire planet is now just making stuff off of Morty, and a little hologram comes out. He's like, hey, I was a serial killer, now you can, and I was a cannibal and ate people, and now you get to eat me, so whatever, enjoy. So the entire society is just a giant dump, but at the same time, the economy is no longer in the toilet and on this planet. They're making money, but at the same time, everybody's depressed and killing themselves. So Morty is trying to find an ethical way to do this. So they start off with clones. Some of the clones are like, yeah, I don't want to be turned into spaghetti. So that doesn't really work. So Rick makes basically someone that is missing part of their brain, but because they're missing part of their brain, they don't care if they live or die, so you can't get spaghetti that way. Then he jokes about making someone that's in a significant amount of pain, and he's like, I didn't do it because I know you'd have an ethical issue with it. I feel like Rick would do it if Morty wasn't there, so maybe Morty grounds him just a little bit, at the very least. And then we have basically a torso with no head, just a brainstem, so it's barely alive, no arms, no legs. And Morty comes up with the idea, was like, well, can't you give it like a hand or something so it can kill itself? So that's what happens. So they do that, and it's going good for like all of 12 seconds, I would say, give or take, until two groups come in because they want the spaghetti. One is torso rights, one is we want the actual spaghetti, and then this guy's starting to blow himself up and commit suicide, and they're like, oh yeah, go ahead, like you go ahead, we're gonna eat each after the fact. We're just kind of messed up. So one is like a regular alien suicide, the other one is like, oh, people of the planet, yeah, go ahead, kill yourself, so we get what we want, we get our spaghetti. Then alien invasion of the planet. They're trying to get everybody to kill themselves. All these aliens are like, kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself. And I'm just like, oh my god, what in the craziness is going on? So then they decide, okay, Rick can synthesize anything. So let's find somebody that may be willing to actually end their life. And, one more person. We've already killed hundreds of thousands, if not millions, for this spaghetti. So what's one more person? So they go to this guy, he's dying of some sort of disease, and he's like, I'm not doing it for you. And then he was like, well, what if you do it one more time? What if you do it and we won't have to do it for anybody else? I can synthesize it, and then we can get the spaghetti. No big deal. Easy do, easy does. And then the guy agrees to it. However, the condition is that he's going to hook him up and play, essentially, he's like, think about your life. You can do this whenever you want, hit the button, and play your life. And we go through this guy's life, starts off drawing all these cute little objects, falls in love with a cute girl, ends up out of the relationship, flunks out of college, ends up with like a prostitute, ends up creating this version of Lego called Fred Blocks. I guess you could maybe like a Mega Blocks type deal, makes a lot of money. Finds his old girlfriend, she already has a family. She ends up divorcing her husband. They get married. She ends up dying. And then we look at the architecture, he's been trying to do this crazy architecture his entire life. That's what he wanted to do, was, make these cool buildings. And it finally came to pass. So, the first thing we saw is him drawing these cool, different, weird-shaped, space-age-looking buildings. And then, we learned that he was finally able to, after creating this Lego company, get that to happen. Passes away. Rick cuts him open, synthesizes the spaghetti, says bon appetit, and then everybody realizes, where they're getting the food from. And then they all throw up, and nobody wants it. And I'm curious if this episode is something along the lines of trying to get you to go vegan. I feel like they're like, oh, well, if we were killing people and eating people to get food, this is the same exact process as killing an animal. Basically I understand, the suicide isn't a part of it, but you're still killing this thing that has a life, and maybe you shouldn't do that because, meaning a life, all that stuff, it's, they say, unethical or whatever. And I'm wondering if this was just kind of a giant episode to force you to go vegan. Like, hey, this is what's happening to people, imagine if animals were people or something. I have no idea if Dan Harmon is vegan. I've never looked that up. That'd be something to look up. But the process of getting food isn't pretty. Never has been, never will be. There's always going to be death in it somewhere along the lines, whether you're vegan or not. And that's just how it works with food. Whether you plant a bunch of stuff, you got to kill everything in that area first to plant it. So you have blood on your hands one way or another. Maybe that's what they're kind of going after here. So Morty agrees just to not question Rick for a week. They get Salisbury steak. That is delicious. And Rick's like, oh, if you knew where I got this from, you might kill yourself. You might kill yourself. So they just decide, yeah, we don't care. We don't want to know. And that's kind of where the episode ends. Then we see a kind of different universe, similar story play out, except it is vacuum bags versus food. So I guess, vacuum bags are food to vacuums or something. Who the heck knows? But they're killing this tree person. Kind of reminds me of Groot. But yeah, they all end up throwing up, all that fun stuff. But it is interesting. Well, maybe that'll be the thumbnail. Who knows? I'll find the thumbnail. But yeah, no, definitely touches on suicide. I would say touches on veganism. There's a couple instances where you could definitely hear the voice difference more in Rick and Morty. I feel like Morty is pretty spot on and Rick's a little bit different with the voice. But I mean, as I said, I'm trying to ignore that moving forward. But okay episode overall. I wouldn't say it was terrible. I wouldn't say it was great. I feel like maybe I need to rewatch it to better understand it, being that I've only really watched it once, or I guess 1.5 times, because I kind of fell asleep the first time. So I had to rewatch it when I got home today after work. But interesting. I don't even know where to rate this. I think I'm going to go with a 6 out of 10 because it's definitely more interesting than above average, definitely piques my curiosity, but the message can be, I guess, interpreted to the user. So let me know what you think the message of this episode was, because I am actually curious. My thing is, I feel like it's a giant play on this is where your food comes from type of deal. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was just more about, what is the meaning of a life. I could see that being it as well, something along those lines. But who knows? Because at the end of the day, maybe we just all turn into spaghetti. Who the heck knows? Maybe that was the idea they were coming from. I'd be very curious to see a behind the scenes on this episode specifically. But other than that, yeah, thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe button, like, share, all that fun stuff. And as always, have a good one.